Good afternoon, South Dakota Senate Chambers. This is Alyssa. No, I'm sorry, it hasn't been voted on yet. They're still debating. Yes, I'll pass that on. On March 4, 2009, I took roughly 25 messages of similar content. It was a typical Wednesday afternoon in Pierce, South Dakota, and although the forecaster had predicted bitter temperatures, the climate inside the South Dakota Senate chambers was smoldering. I was a page during the final 2 weeks of legislative session, and I had anticipated one particular hearing throughout my entire stay. To my delight, it was scheduled to take place that afternoon. From pages and interns frantically running between chambers, to lobbyists tackling and interrogating anyone who was within reach of a senator, the Capitol chaos was catastrophic. It was a day of frustration. It was a day of consideration. It was a day of revelation. It was the day of the South Dakota smoking ban debate. What happened in Pierre that afternoon was only the initial spark of ignition of some smoking South Dakota conversation. Since its inception in January, the smoking ban would go on to ignite debate in the legislature, ignite passion among the citizens, and ignite action in the executive and judicial branches of government. But before South Dakota could become fired up about it, the smoking ban was just another unknown and unnamed bill, HB 1240. The following information is in accordance with the South Dakota House and Senate journals. HB 1240 stands for a legislative act designed to prohibit smoking tobacco or carrying lighted tobacco products in certain public places. It also requires certain persons to inform violators of the prohibition. Under the first section of the bill, the punishment is outlined for any person failing to comply with the law. This section is also where the only successful amendment is included. Originally, citizens failing to abide by the bill were given a misdemeanor. However, Senator Frank Klobuchar from Scotland, South Dakota, introduced an amendment reducing the penalty from a misdemeanor to a petty offense. The remaining sections go on to define what constitutes as a public place, which, according to the bill, is any place other than hotel rooms, cigar lounges, or tobacco shops. According to the Legislative Research Council, HB 1240 originated in the House of Representatives, where it was referred to the House State Affairs Committee. After being approved by committee, the bill received a favorable vote by the full House body. It was then transferred to the Senate and immediately to the Senate Health and Human Services Committee, where it was unanimously approved. Finally, HB 1240 went to full trial under the full Senate body. After an afternoon of intense debate, the South Dakota senators voted 21 to 14 in favor of the bill. HB 1240 was later reapproved by the House and eventually placed on the governor's desk. After 2 months of debate and compromise, the South Dakota legislature had finally reached a consensus about HB 1240. Now widely recognized as a smoking ban, it was time for the bill to flicker its way onto the radar of many citizens of South Dakota. According to the Yankton Daily Press and Dakota, immediately after the governor's approving signature, opponents of the bill began generating a petition to overrule the legislative act. Led by Larry Mann, director of the South Dakota Video Lottery, the group needed to generate exactly 16,766 valid signatures by June 29, 2009, in order to put the effective July 1st ban on hold until the November 2010 election. The group based their reasoning on the bill's violation of property rights, substantial state revenue loss, and customer depletion. I wonder what the government will take away next, claims Kim Braunschweiler of Boomers Lounge in Yankton. Is the government going to limit how many people I can serve, limit how many drinks I can serve, or limit how many drinks somebody can have? I just don't think it's the government's right to do that. According to the Rapid City Journal, opponents and their ideology juxtapose that of Representative Larry Frost, original sponsor of the bill. His stance is based on the rising cost of Medicaid due to 20% of South Dakota smokers. As of January 2009, the cost of government-provided health insurance totaled $214 million. The American Cancer Society also joined his case. Lobbyist Jennifer Stalley claims South Dakotans shouldn't have to choose between earning a living and their health. Across the state, people had practiced political advocacy by making their opinions known and voices heard. The smoking ban had fired up the state. Now it was time for the remaining branches of government to become involved. Before the people could become passionate about the bill, the governor had to sign it. Michael Brown, incumbent governor of South Dakota, spent from March 4th to March 17th discussing the bill with various officials. If effected, HB 1240 would cost the state $1.1 million in revenue. On the other hand, the growing health concerns due to tobacco usage are becoming more and more of a national problem. In the end, health outweighed money, reports Associated Press correspondent Chet Brokaw. With the governor's action on HB 1240, the judicial branch was the only branch remaining uninvolved. But due to recent developments, even the courts became fired up about the smoking ban. According to the Argus Leader, after 2,244 signatures on the petition were considered invalid by Secretary of State Chris Nelson, the bill was taken to court. While bar and casino owners continued to gather additional signatures, both proponents and opponents of the bill offered testimony supporting their respective positions. Last Friday, Circuit Court Judge Kathleen Trandall ruled that due to the additionally gathered signatures, the bill was eligible to appear on the November 2010 ballot. Although the official ruling has been made, the state of South Dakota and American Cancer Society have the opportunity to appeal. Nearly 1 year since its inception, the smoking ban flame is still flickering throughout the state of South Dakota. Although the process has been tedious and frustrating, HB 1240 has provided South Dakota with a wonderful opportunity to demonstrate democracy. By the end of the day, my fellow pages and I were absolutely exhausted, both mentally and physically. Many of us had developed strong opinions about the bill, and many more of us were suffering leg cramps and paper cuts. Despite the outcome of debate, we knew that HB 1240 was going to make a huge impact on the state. And indeed it did. The bill went on to ignite debate in the legislature, ignite passion among the citizens, and ignite action in the executive and judicial branches of government. Who knew a 2-page piece of blue paper could inspire so much conversation?